Thank you so much for joining us again on Lens Out. My name is Jim Toes, and I'm always excited whenever I have Wanderlust in the studio with me.
Thank you.
As I discussed the last time, I'll be giving Benjamin time to say hi, but before I do that, as I discussed in last time, we're still breaking into what we are about. You guys are going to catch a lot of things that beneficial, which is going to be both ways to both we the presenters and you the audience, but it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. We always want you to like, share, and comment. Wanderlust, you want to say hello?
Yes, thank you so much, Jim Toast, for having me. It's always a pleasure being in the studio with you. I want to welcome everybody back to Lens Out, where we bring you raw, undiluted experience that hit close to home. This is the second time we are returning to the studio. Thank you so much for our listeners, and we invite you to join us to reflect, make your comment as we proceed with this second session, and we would love to hear back from you. Once again, thank you for having me, Jim Tools. Let's get it started.
Yeah, let's get it rolling. Today in this very episode, second episode, still talking about African parenting and gentle parenting, is a topic that we didn't just pick out of the moon or just say, hey, let's. Is a topic that we know that most people are either actively talking about or they are thinking of if they don't have community to communicate with, because diaspora sometimes can be lonely. Yeah.
Really,
Exactly. You know, if you that's one of the reasons why I think Ashake's song actually went viral with the people
yeah,
in diaspora. Lonely at the top. He's actually
yeah.
lonely sometimes. If you are that kind of person that you grow up in a community, which most African homes are, especially unless those who actually grow up in what do you call it, those who grow up in a big city, even at that, even big city, you still have that benefit of your siblings, family, cousin, and niece still coming around to say hi. But in diaspora, you are maybe one of your kind.
True.
So, and you are trying to also keep your identity, the identity of who you are, and also you see yourself like a representation of a large community. So you're always trying to keep your head high. Let's even talking about diaspora and the loneliness that might not be lonely. Let me say this, because you also have the benefit of hanging out with people, but in most cases everybody is very, very busy. Even if you own your own businesses or you have different businesses that you're doing, or you working a regular 9 to 5 thereabout, you hardly have time to rest or meet people of your kind. If let me even start with a funny story. I think that was a day I think it should be during lunch hour. So I was trying to take a walk around the property where my company is situated, and I'm trying to take a walk around, just get some mileage, because most of our work are sedentary. And I saw a guy looking for his phone. The next thing the guy said, bro, I bet you help me see my phone. It's a Nigerian. I was like, yeah, I don't know where your phone is, but what you want me can do for you. So,
That's lovely. That's lovely.
so that's the kind of experience we're always happy when we see our kind, but we're also very careful. Let me also add that, because you don't also want to put yourself in mess. What do you think about that loneliness before we dive into the?
Sincerely speaking, um, I have to be very frank with you. Everybody has have at one point or the other, you have experienced that kind of, that kind of being alone, right, in your own world, especially in the Western world. And the truth be told, that is one of the reasons why, we have different communities, we have churches. You go to your workplace, there's always a group of maybe black origin or Asian origin coming together to just form a sense of belonging. Because sincerely speaking, outside of work, outside your business, there is more life. But we live in a world whereby you have to pay your bills, you have to pay your mortgage, you have to pay your rent, you have to do a lot of things, and the time might not be visible. And that is one of the reasons why you have, communities like that to hang out, to just, while away time, think about, reminisce together. And at the end of the day, right, you still go back to your cubicle, back to your home, and and sincerely speaking, it's not like Africa where you before you know it, maybe your uncle, your brother, your auntie, your friend, they're back knocking your door. Hey man, open the door for me. I need to see you. You see family all around, right? And that's the beauty thing about Africa. And I know it cuts across the Asian world also, and also in this Western world, right? You see some of these grandpa coming to see their grandkids so that it won't be lonely. But at the end of the day, right, the most important thing is for us to just know that we just need to live in oneness as one community, regardless of where we come from. And that is the life that we hope for. And again, like you said, being careful is another thing, right? You don't want to go to the wrong guy whereby it's, misplace all your priorities. You want to set your record straight and, you don't want anyone to push you around. But at the end of the day, it's for you to decide because, everybody's old enough to decide what they want to do, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, we are. So that's
Yeah.
it from me.
Yeah, that's totally not part of what we plan to discuss. But
Exactly.
all well and good. That's to tell you that we're actually being genuine as
True.
this conversation are coming up. We try not to be scripted. As I said, it's lens out. Just roll your sleeve and talk
Yeah,
freely as you can.
exactly.
Nobody's policing anybody. Talking about bills and the rest is typical and classical of what we most people here try to just make sure they meet their bills and if there's anything left. Now, the story we're going to be discussing is actually towards parenting, into parenting and African parenting, and we're going to be talking about a story of Mr. Ade happened to be, the typical African or a Nigerian
Mm,
getting an
mm,
opportunity to relocate. Just take a listen and hear what the story is about. People living in diaspora or bigger city will relate with the story of Ade and his wife. Ade and his wife Funke had always dreamt of a better life for their children. When the opportunity came to move to UK from Ibadan, they didn't think twice. They did not think about the cold weather, the quiet streets, and the endless bills were all part of the price they were willing to pay for a brighter future. At first, things seems fine. Their son, Toby, adapted quickly. He's polite, studious, always earning praises from his teachers. But their daughter, Dara, became a different story altogether. Back home in Nigeria, she had always been cheerful and respectful, surrounded by aunties, cousins, and familiar home or family life. In the UK, without that cycle of correction and warmth, something shifted. She started talking back, rolling her eyes, saying, "You can't talk to me that way." Whenever Funke tried to correct her, Ade, tired from 12-hour shift, would sometimes snap. "Who won't? Is it not me that's feeding you? Are you not living under my roof? You will learn to respect me and your mom in this house." But in the UK, those words echoed differently. Teachers spoke about gentle parenting always and open communication. Social worker often mentioned children's rights. Ade, a man raised with firm Yoruba discipline, began to feel like a stranger in his home. He missed those days when his word carried weight. Now, even a raise of voice could lead to tension or worse, a call from school or a visit from social worker. Funke, his wife, tried to bridge the gap, explaining things softly, reading parenting blogs at night, but the bills didn't stop. Between her nursing shift and her day construction hours, patients often ran out before dinner time. Toby, the ever peacemaker, would quietly help with dishes and make sure his homework are always done at the right time, while Dara would always be seen slamming the door upstairs, headphone in, her face buried in her phone. Some nights, Ade will sit in the living room after a long hour and when everybody has gone to bed, thinking of Nigeria, thinking of home, thinking of his mother's compound, always filled with laughter and shouting, and children know their boundary. Here, the silence felt heavier than noise. He wondered if he could raise his children in a foreign land without losing himself. Could he mix Omoluabi, good upbringing, his parents gave him, with new, gentle parenting way of raising kids? He didn't know. He's confused. But as the dawn light crept through the curtain, he made a promise. He would learn to listen and still lead, to teach his children where they came from, even in a land that taught them something different. Because being a father in the UK wasn't about choosing between Africa and England, it was about finding a balance between firmness and understanding, tradition and change, love and survival. I didn't make this promise, but can he keep it? Is he well equipped? Will the environment encourage him? What style of parenting should Ade adopt? Should he switch to African rigid parenting? That's going to put him in a lot of trouble. What do you think?
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. Ade's story and Funke's story are classical example of what you typically see in diaspora. People trying to manage both their kids, their career, and their family. Is a tripartite challenge that we're trying to work our way around. For this very Ade guy, we be talking about, we'll be bringing up some questioning and trying to see how best could he. He's lucky with his son, but how best could he have managed Dara, his daughter, in a situation? Not forgetting that she was actually a very good girl back home in Africa before she joined her parents and relocated with them. Obviously, from the story, if we are just single-handedly focusing on the story, we can see that there is actually a need for relationship, for community. That might be the trigger, or maybe it's also adolescent. It's going to maybe teenager tantrum. It could be. It's possible. Is a combination of so many things. So the first question is actually, was it right? Was it a right decision for Ade and Funke to have moved his kids with them to
Yes.
UK when they had the opportunity of living in Ibadan?
Mm.
This is what I think personally. I'm going to say what I think, and I'll allow
Okay.
Wanderlust also say what he thinks. I'm family oriented, and I believe Wanderlust also is. I'm totally not in agreement with separating a family unless it is necessary. I know some people who will totally disagree. It's not a one-way fix all. You could have a different opinion about it. But I think he didn't do bad. It's an opportunity, but he didn't do bad bringing along his family, his children with him, because the brighter future is to be passed down and continue. So I think it's a good thing he did. Could he have done it differently? I do not think so. I'm just focusing on the question. I
Yeah.
totally agree that it's okay for him to have carried this family. What do you think?
Well, I will be very straight with you, right? I agree with you based on that. Why was moving to the UK the right decision? From my own point of view, yes. For opportunity, yes. But no one's talked enough about the emotional price when they were moving in. That's one of the things that, was an issue. But the move gave the kids, right, freedom, but caused the parents their cultural control. That's the way I would see, but it was the right decision to take.
Okay, yeah. Still talking about that in the light of parenting. You know, I have friends that their parents had to travel a lot. Even when they were in Nigeria, they had to leave from one location because of the nature of the work of their parents. Well, that might be a little bit different now that I'm thinking about it, because they are still within the country and people of their kind within reach. They move along. And with African kind of parenting, your daddy is going, you're going.
Yes, yes. It's a sport. It's a sport. I carry my sport anywhere I go
Exactly.
because you just want to know. The parents want them to know that this is how things is being done in this part of the world, so that whatever you find yourself can imbibe, can just acclimatize yourself in that regards, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and talking about emotion, you made mention of the emotion, that's actually the cost. Nobody typically consider emotion?
Nobody
I think
consider.
I wish there is a emotion meter.
So see, so here's the thing, honestly.
Okay.
Ade feels his authority is slipping away. Now, again, another thing we need to understand is that he misses the communal support of reinforcement by his parents, maybe like his parents, his aunties, his neighbors, his elders, right? For them to be able to, when these kids see their aunties, they're always joyful. And again, his discipline now feels isolated and misunderstood. So it's a bit of emotion for Ade, and it's a very tough one. Now, in terms of the emotional for us as immigrant parents, and again, you need to balance the whole thing with the bills, the pressure to survive, the bills, the shock, cultural shocks, and a lot of stuff. The guilt of thinking you might be feeling as a father again is there. So there is a lot on Ade's head. And now the ultimate thing, which is the kids, because it's whatever your kids do outside, is a reflection of your the parents. So that's
Okay.
one of the reasons why we have to get it right.
Okay. Then the second question is actually should Ade and his wife consider sending Dara back home? I think I saw a story of a guy saying that he was tricked back home for a reboot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He said, I think it was actually, I like the way the guy wrote the story. I'll just give you guys a brief or
Mm.
synopsis. I can remember that he and his parents, I think he was leaving middle school, going to high school, but he was actually tough and stubborn, and it was an emotional drain on his parents. So his parents strategically start painting Nigeria for him, how he need to go back, reconnect, blah blah blah. So he started loving it, and they agreed to go and spend Christmas back home from the eastern part.
Mm.
He said they have already told that they spread this to all the community.
Yeah.
In the second in the place, and they are smaller communities. So now we immediately got to the village. His uncle first of all gave him a knock on his head. So you were the one giving my sister headache. You did not allow her to focus on her work. I cut the long story short. His parents, when he's going to go back, they returned with his passport, but he was still left in Nigeria. So he had to finish. He had to finish secondary
Yeah.
school in
Yeah.
Nigeria. He returned back to the US, and he was grateful. That's actually the irony of
Mhm.
grateful for that experience. So the question now is, should Ade and Funke have considered returning Dara back to Nigeria, maybe for a reboot or for a reset? Maybe there are so many families that can help. I think it's a two-way question. First is, do they really have a family that they can trust with their daughter, considering she's a lady, a girl? I do not. If the answer is yes, then that might not be a bad option. But if they are not sure, and in that case, they really have to be 100% sure. If they are not sure, then I think they should look for ways of blending the African parenting as well as the gentle parenting. And that's one of the big problem, because when we come here, and it depends on when we come here. When I say come here, relocate also matters. When people relocate, maybe in their middle career or maybe in their late career, it's harder for them, because then you want to work extra hours. All those extra hours that you're working is taking a toll not only on your health, but also on your children, your family, because you'll be tired when you get back home. When your child asks for, hey, dad, do you want to see this with me? You really don't have time. All you're thinking of, I remember sometime whenever I'm tired, I say, I'm going to lock that door. I don't want anybody to talk to me. That's typically you are drained. For them paying you that much, definitely they will take something from you. So you want to rest and relax. Let me give you a room to have a say into this. Then I'll come back. And what do you think? Should they have
Yeah.
sent?
So Yeah,
back
yeah.
home?
So I really want to dive deeper because you've already touched every aspect that I wanted to reflect upon. Number one thing we should bear in mind is that now making Dara going on an Excel is not suitable. No,
I like the
sincerely
way you use
speaking.
the word ex.
No, it's not, should not be something which is out of play there. But now, maybe for recollection. Now, if what has been helping Dara in the past, seeing family, seeing his aunties, seeing her aunties, seeing our brothers, our uncles, gives her this sense of belonging, this sense of joy, happiness, openness. Why not reconnect, right? Let's take her back, but not as a punishment. Visit at times can rebuild identity. Now, that is one of the reasons why it is important for us as a parent in the Western world to take our kids back home. Let them have a life, let them see the life of both, right? So, see, you are in the Western world already, you've spent quite a lot of time, but there is another world over there where things are done in this way. Like you said, I have heard people where I stay here, right? People have talked about sending their kids back home, especially when they want to go to the secondary school and above, so that they will be able to go to the boarding school and see how they go through their own, middle school, and then come back for their university. Sincerely speaking, it might help, it might not help, right? It depends. But this is what some people believe because by going into that particular fold, it will help them to be more confident, more strong, more affirmed. But it should be told, it's all about your style of parenting, right? At the end of the day, it's not about, you forcing the kids to go. See, kids can go there and become the rascals. Kids can be here and become rascals, right? But it's about what you inculcate, what you imbibe in them. It might be a tough one, like we said, but the hybrid setting and the African setting might work for the parent style. But at the end of the day, you have to discipline with dialogue, but explain. So, depending on the type you want, is up to you. I will leave it there for now.
Yeah, yeah, correction with explanation. I like that the way the what you said that reconnecting. Identity is very important.
Very, very good.
It give you a sense of belonging. If you are in this world is so big yet so small,
True.
in the sense that you see so sometimes you see so many people, maybe go to a bigger city, so many people just going up and down, and
It's a big world, but it's a global village.
yeah, nobody looks like you. Nobody, you don't
That's
even know
all.
anybody. You can walk some distance. You don't even see anybody that, let me use your Yoruba word, to farajo, or
At all.
that you understand.
Yes.
So a sense of identity is very important.
Very, very.
And not only if you are even in diaspora, even if you're back home in Nigeria, knowing a bit about your history is empowering. When they say, that's why I don't know, Ubers always do what they call appellation, oriki. You know,
Mm.
that oriki is like a
Act like
synopsis,
it's
or
synopsis.
a summary of your
The lineage of where you came from, the
yes,
origin of where you came from.
yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, that oriki. It's called oriki. What do you even call it in English again? I can't remember.
I can't
So
remember me.
that appellation, yeah, that appellation where they talk about you are a child of this, son of this, a warrior of this, a king.
Exactly.
It gives you history and help you identify that, okay, you are not just I think that's what I typically tell my kids and myself. Even sometimes if I'm standing in front of a mirror, I have some taxing work that, like, how can I do? I just tell myself that you have surpassed a lot. You can do this.
Exactly.
This is just one of the steps you need to
Exactly.
move to the next height. So believing in oneself, and you cannot do that if the Mr. Day, the construction worker, is taking 12 hours, 15 hours work.
Mm.
That is where I see that
This,
I'm
yes.
not for, you can use, I think in this case, in this scenario, I do not think he can use African parenting because the school is already talking about it. The social workers are already visiting. So it has to deploy gentle parenting at its best.
So
And
keep African structure and Western empathy.
yes, in that empathy of gentle parenting, gentle parenting consume time.
A lot.
Yes. You have to talk
Dialogue.
it. Yes. And it's
Dialogue
a dialogue. Yeah. You have
and
to talk it,
explain.
explain over and over again. But the beauty of it, at the end of the day, God helping you, Dara comes back and she's doing very well. She will build a relationship with Mr. Day and his mom and her mom that will be long lasting.
Yes.
So I totally agree that they don't need to take her home. I think now I'm thinking that I don't subscribe to that. Even though it has worked for some people, but I do not subscribe to that. If the
Exactly.
parents can afford the timing, they should devote the time with Dara and help her to identify who she really is and what she
Exactly.
wants to be. Let's go to the third one. What parenting style could work best in this situation of Mr. Day? What do you think?
I think we've already discussed it. The hybrid setting is very crucial. See, we are already in the Western world. Now, we have seen, so I don't know if this thing is going on in your own terrain now, Jim Toast,
Mm-hmm.
where you see other people from other country coming in, not, not following the culture of what you met here, but try to subdue your own culture for people to imbibe, right? So why I'm saying this is what is occurring in my own terrain here, whereby the people that owns the land saying that you cannot bring any other culture here and be exposing it to the whole community and all. It's annoying. This particular terrain is different. If you are here, you have to follow what is in here, right? Even if you want to do whatever you want to do, you can do it in your house or in a very private place whereby it's just for your own community, not for you to be bringing it outside there. So now that applies to us from where we are coming from. That's why I said keep the African culture, but the Western culture, just play along and let it flow. Meaning that keep your African culture at home, let them know this is how we are brought up. But when we go outside there, let's act the way they want us to act so that we can balance the equations together. Right? So that is where I see the whole thing. Discipline with dialogue, correct, but explain. Like today now, I can't remember what happened between myself and my daughter, my last daughter. And I was talking to her, she was asking me, why do you want me to do that, Dad? Why? And I looked at myself and I said, me, in those days, I cannot ask why.
You
We
dare.
can't we can't ask why now. As she asks why, I need to explain to her that this, if you hold it, you can get shock or something might happen to you. Okay, I understand now. I won't do that again. Now so risky. So what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say at the end of the day is this, honestly, at the end of the day, we are here, we are here. What are the things we can bring out in this culture that we can, bring into the African structure and blend it together that makes sense at the end of the day. Because we cannot take all the Western culture and we cannot take all the African structure and think to do work together. No, but let's look for the good side, blend it
yeah.
together and make it work.
I totally subscribe to what you said. A blend is actually a hybrid,
That's
is
that's
actually
that's that.
is actually a way to go because African parenting is it has is that's as good because of the structure. I don't think Ade needs to discard totally African parenting. He still need to because he needs to be a role model. That's what African culture, a role model, an authority figure. We typically, as we're growing up, we need is necessary.
Mm,
Kids needs to have an authority figure, people that they can behold, trust, and they do more of what they see and less of what they hear.
mm,
It's good that I think Ade should not let go of the African parenting, but also, as you said, you cannot, when you come to a land, there are things that actually have been working in this land in the first instance. That's the reason why we want to be here.
yeah, true.
So that need to be, we need to abide by that, work, take those advantages, take those the good part of it, and the one that will frown again. You don't also need to laud your African parenting in the public. You sit your kids down at home, talk to them, remember the child of who you are. I think
Exactly.
that's a word I won't never forget when
Oh,
I was college, because I was called and told that remember the child of who you are.
exactly.
You are the first here. Don't mess it up.
Yeah,
Um, it it always ring in my mind. Yeah, not forceful. I remembered I don't know if my dad can remember, but I remember vividly that if you go to college and you pregnant a girl, I will stop paying your school fees and I'll take care of the grandchild.
that's it.
That always ring a bell in my mind that remember the child of who you
Mm.
are. Taking African culture, African parenting with a mix of
But
what do you call it, gentle parenting is actually the way to go. We
yeah,
have two more questions, but we can wrap both of them up in one.
okay.
Would visiting Nigeria often help? If Ade and his family visit Nigeria, it depends on their might take it depends on their economic power. Visiting Nigeria is not in Nigeria world, it's not more meaning it's not cheap, but you
Yes,
can say maybe every certain amount of years it's a high it's not bad to reconnect to your root. Ade needs to start learning more about parenting. What do you think?
definitely. Learning doesn't make weakness. It means adapting. So let him continue. Things will definitely change. See, being an African parent abroad isn't about choosing between Africa or England or the Western culture. It's about creating a middle ground. And this story is really about finding that balance. So to lead without fear, to listen without losing authority, right? And to love, right? Without forgetting who you are. So for me, learning doesn't mean weakness. If you adapt, that's just it.
I agree with one more that learning is continuous. I remember the first time we had our baby, and I know the same thing will apply to you because we both had our first in the same country.
Yeah.
That when my wife brought manual, so uh,
Yeah.
that's to tell you that reading so many things are actually dynamic and they are changing. The way kids learn now, I started using computer
Mm,
um when I was in college. And to be candid, I'm actually one of the few
mm.
in even in the college that own a desktop back then. So most of us learn computer with theory. But now an elementary school is on the computer. I think in the next 5 years, they don't even need the computer again. They'll just wear maybe glasses and they'll be, who knows what it. So that's that things are changing and the rate at which they are changing are unbelievable. So
Unbelievable.
learning how to parent these kids should be continuous. What do you think as you summarize for today?
Honestly, I just want to put a word of encouragement there. If you are an immigrant, to all our viewers and all our listeners, if you are an immigrant parent, right, or a child that you will want to, you feel stuck in between, drop your comment, drop your thought. We want to hear from you, right? So that we can discuss this possibly on the Lens Out episode, right? So that we can talk about it. Because at the end of the day, we just want to make sure, right, that there is a balance. We have seen a lot of stories whereby, all these social workers will come and pick kids because of, rift between both parents, right? We've seen a lot going on, a whole lot in the Western world. And I believe that there is always a balance. And the truth is this. Is the only thing Yoruba that always goes like, and taba palaba ni baba. Parent, you are the master of your home. But at the end of the day, you need to find a balance. You need to find a balance. And the only balance you can do is just to, like you always say, to for what's it, but more, for what's normal, and for what's farmer. When you use your left hand to, discipline a child, you use the right hand to. So we want to hear from you. Let's connect. Let's talk about this because we are spreading love. We are spreading, reconnection, all together, right? But at the end of the day, we just want you all to know that we just need to get it right from the African setting and the Western setting. I will leave it like that.
Thank you so much, guys. We are not done with parenting. I told you that we're still going to be all around it. Anything we're talking about will be from the point of view of parents. So join us on our next episode. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Be blessed.